Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. The voice that has kidnapped the young and the restless Sharon and Phyllis may have gone too far with the clue that he dropped on his victims on March 4. Read the recap here. What is worth everything? He asked, and costs nothing. The answer, obviously, is time. On one hand, it's invaluable, and on the other, you don't have to put it on your debit card. But how, you ask? Does this reveal the abductor's identity? Simple. Who would want to make Sharon and Phyllis appreciate the preciousness of time? Their loved ones might, including the one we were sure for a hot minute was the guilty party. Read that theory here. But given how worried Sharon and Phyllis' families are, that doesn't track. And after what the women have just been put through by Ian and Jordan, you'd have to be a pretty poor relation to willingly traumatize either Sharon or Phyllis further. Who does that leave? Ian. We know he's alive, and it's a big old plot hole that Victor, Nick, and co. don't. How on earth would they not have wanted to watch the villain's body slide into the incinerator? But we digress. Ian, what with being reformed and all, could consider it a good deed, forcing Sharon and Phyllis to reflect upon all the time that they've wasted at one another's throats. On the flip side, I am being mad as a hatter. He could then exact the revenge that he's been after by announcing that now that their eyes have been opened as well as their hearts, he's going to kill them both. You forced us to realize that we could have been friends all these years just to make sure that we couldn't be friends in the future. Sharon and Phyllis ask, shocked. Goody. You understand perfectly. Ian says. First, you had to see the error of your ways. Now you have to experience the consequences of your foolish feud. You took every chance the two of you had and tossed it aside. You're all out of chances now. You're all out of time. With that, Ian leaves, never to return. Would Sharon and Phyllis actually croak? Of course not. The show is as likely to kill them as it is to change its name from Young and Restless to CEOs and Psychos. But when they are rescued, they as well as we would be looking at a very uncertain future. What would the soap be like if they actually talked with each other instead of lash out at one another? The super rich read as many as 50 books per year. Here's how Vice President J.D. Vance finds a buyer for his Washington, D.C. area home in a matter of days. New Cadillac Lyric for senior amazes. See prices here. The storm raged outside the dimly lit cabin, wind howling through the trees like a warning from the universe itself. Inside, Sharon and Phyllis sat at opposite ends of the wooden table, their eyes locked in a silent, unspoken truce. The game was almost over, and the stakes had never been higher. Across from them, Ian Ward leaned back in his chair, a wicked smile playing on his lips. Ladies, you've played admirably, Ian purred, shuffling a deck of cards with unnerving ease. But the real question remains. Are you ready to pay the price of victory? Phyllis scoffed, flipping her fiery red hair over her shoulder. If you think we're scared of you, Ian, you haven't been paying attention. Sharon, usually the more cautious of the two, surprised herself by agreeing. You underestimate us. We came here knowing exactly what we were up against. Ian's smile widened. Oh, but do you? He laid the cards down on the table, one by one. Each card bore an inscription, Latin phrases, cryptic symbols, and, most chillingly, their own names. This isn't just a game, my dears. It's a prophecy. And now that you've won, well, the prophecy must be fulfilled. A cold shiver ran down Sharon's spine, but she refused to show fear. We didn't come this far just to roll over and accept whatever twisted fate you have planned. Phyllis leaned forward, her fingers tracing the edge of the last card. You make one big mistake, Ian. With that, Phyllis reached under the table and pulled out a small concealed dagger. In a flash, she lunged, aiming straight for Ian's hand. But he was faster, almost impossibly so. He grabbed her wrist, twisting it just enough to make her drop the weapon. Sharon wasted no time. She appended the table, sending the cards flying, using the distraction to reach into her jacket and pull out the item they had risked everything for, a small vial filled with an iridescent blue liquid. Enough games, she said, voice steady. We know what this is. We know what it does, and we know it's the only thing keeping you alive. Ian's expression darkened for the first time that night. You don't understand what you're playing with. No, Phyllis snapped. You don't understand. You've manipulated us, tormented us, and played with our lives like we were pieces on a board. But this ends now. She took the vial from Sharon and, without hesitation, hurled it against the stone fireplace. The glass shattered, and the liquid ignited upon impact, sending eerie blue flames licking up the walls. Ian let out an inhuman snarl, his face contorting in rage. "You foolish, foolish women," he spat, his voice distorting. "You've signed your own death warrants." The cabin began to shake, the very foundations groaning under an unseen force. Ian's form flickered. One moment he was a man, the next, something far worse. Shadows clung to him like living things, twisting and writhing in the firelight. Sharon grabbed Phyllis's hand. "We need to go. Now." They bolted for the door, but Ian was upon them in an instant. His fingers closed around Phyllis's wrist, yanking her back with unnatural strength. "Leaving so soon?" he mocked, his grip tightening. Sharon acted on instinct. She grabbed the fallen dagger and plunged it into Ian's side. He howled, a sound so terrible, it seemed to split the very air around them. The shadows recoiled, and his grip loosened just enough for Phyllis to wrench free. They didn't look back. They ran into the storm, the wind whipping their hair and rain soaking their clothes. Behind them, the cabin erupted in flames, the cursed game, and all of Ian's dark magic burning with it. Gasping for breath, they reached the tree line and turned to watch as the structure collapsed in on itself, sending embers spiraling into the night sky. Phyllis let out a breathless laugh. "Well, that was insane." Sharon wiped rain from her face. "Yeah, but we won." Phyllis smirked. "You think he's really gone?" A beat of silence. Then, from the distant ruins of the cabin, a sound, low, guttural, and unmistakably amused. Ian's voice, whispering through the wind, "The game is never truly over." Sharon and Phyllis exchanged a look. "We should probably get out of here," Phyllis said. "Agreed," Sharon replied, already moving. As they disappeared into the storm, one thing was certain: whatever dark forces they had just faced, they weren't done fighting yet.